Imagine stepping off a plane in a city you've never been to before. You've got your luggage, you are running on exactly 3 hours of sleep, and you need to get across town.
Oh yeah, the classic travel fatigue.
Right. So bypassing the overpriced taxis, you find a set of stairs leading down into the earth, and you just descend into the sensory overload of a major transit station. You're immediately hit by the rush of warm air, the rapid-fire beep of turnstiles, and a sea of people moving with this, absolutely terrifying sense of purpose.
It's a lot. It is a universal human experience, but it's governed by this incredibly localized set of unwritten rules.
Welcome to our deep dive. Today, we are unpacking an experience shared by tens of millions of people every single day. We're talking about navigating the global subway system.
And our stack of sources today gives us this really fascinating breakdown of the language, the logistics, and the cultural nuances of transit systems around the world.
Exactly. The goal of this deep dive is to unpack the mechanics of taking the subway. We want to equip you, the listener, with the exact English phrases you need to confidently navigate any underground system, while also exploring the striking differences between Eastern and Western networks.
Because it's not just about trains, it's about psychology.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because whether you're going to work or meeting friends or exploring a brand new city, the subway is the fastest way to get around. But you really have to master a specific set of linguistic and cultural rules.
Yeah, you have to play by its rules. And before you can even board a train or decode a map, you have to know how to navigate the social space of a bustling station. Because inevitably, you're going to get confused and you'll need to ask for help.
Which brings us to the micro-interactions of transit, the art of asking. To start things off, let's actually role-play a typical subway interaction.
Oh, fun. Let's do it.
I'll be the knowledgeable local, and you play the confused passenger. And let's do this at a slow, clear speed first.
Okay, got it. Excuse me. Can you help me? Which line should I take?
You should take the blue line.
How many stops is that?
It is 3 stops. Get off at Central Station.
Perfect. Okay, so that was the slow version.
Right, but now let's do it at normal, everyday subway speed, the way you'll actually hear it. Go.
Excuse me, can you help me? Which line do I take?
Blue line, 3 stops. Get off at Central.
Wow, okay, yeah, that is so much faster. If you aren't ready for it, it's kind of terrifying.
It really is. And that's why our sources highlight the immense sociological weight placed on those first 2 gateway phrases you just used. Excuse me, and can you help me?
Because in everyday life, that's just basic courtesy. But in a transit hub, it's so much more than that.
I like to compare, to a social turn signal. It prevents collisions in crowded, high-stress environments. But I want to push back on this a little bit.
Okay, go for it.
The sources talk a lot about intonation, how a rising tone implies a request, and a falling tone means you're demanding attention. But in a loud, rushing station where everyone is in a hurry, does a subtle change in your voice really make that much of a difference? I mean, aren't people just reading your panicked body language?
Well, what's fascinating here is that the acoustic chaos is exactly why that subtle tone matters so much.
Wait, really?
Yeah. In environments of extreme sensory overload, human cognitive load is completely maxed out. Our brains become hypersensitive to auditory cues about threat or demand just to, cut through the noise.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, yes, they see your body language, but a falling tone, like a flat, blunt, triggers an immediate defensive response in the amygdala. It sounds like a command.
Oh, I see, like you're barking orders at them.
Exactly. But a rising tone, like, acts as an auditory white flag. The upward inflection softens the interaction into an invitation. It shifts you from a threat to just a benign tourist making a request.
That is so interesting. You're trying to disarm a commuter whose brain is already in overdrive, which connects perfectly to why we say, "Can you help me?" instead of just "help me."
Precisely. If you yell, "Help me," underground, you're signaling an emergency. People will panic. "Can you help me?" establishes an unwritten social contract. It acknowledges their autonomy.
Right, you're just asking for a tiny fraction of their time. These micro-interactions really are the building blocks of urban civility.
Without them, the station would just be a battleground.
Okay, so you've successfully deployed your social turn signal. You've asked, "Excuse me, can you help me?" And you have a local's attention. Now you have to use our next 2 phrases to actually figure out where you are going, which line should I take, and how many stops is that?
And this is where we transition from social friction to visual abstraction, the transit map.
I always compare a transit map to a city's cardiovascular system, where the colored lines are the arteries.
That's a great visual. And the sources point out how routes are identified by these lines, right? The blue line, the red line, or line 1 and line 2. And distance isn't miles or kilometers, it's just stops or stations.
But there's a really fascinating transatlantic linguistic divide here. For our listeners learning English, it's important to know that Americans use the words subway and stops, while the British use tube or underground and stations.
And it's not just a random quirk of vocabulary. The language reflects the specific engineering methods used when those cities first built their systems.
Yeah, that part blew my mind.
Right. Subway literally means a way beneath the street. Early American systems, like in New York, were built using a cut-and-cover method. They would dig a shallow trench, lay tracks, and cover it back up with the street.
So it's right under the pavement.
Exactly. But the tube in London refers to the deep bore tunneling method. They use these cylindrical shields to bore deep down into the London clay. So Londoners are describing a deep cylinder, and New Yorkers are describing a shallow trench.
It changes everything when you realize the vocabulary is literally describing the dirt and the digging method. But getting back to the map itself, when you ask which line should I take, and someone says the blue line, they are relying on color coding.
Yeah, the colors are iconic.
But why isn't there a universal standard? Like, why not just name things geographically? Does naming a line after a color actually help a tourist if they don't fundamentally know the geography of the city they're in?
Well, the sources explain that color coding abstracts complex urban geography into a universal visual language. Back in the early 1900s, maps were geographically accurate, and they were a total nightmare to read.
Too much overlapping ink downtown, right?
Exactly. But in 1933, Harry Beck designed a map based on an electrical circuit board. He realized that once you're underground, physical geography doesn't matter. You just need to know topology, where you get on, where you transfer, and where you get off.
It turns spatial navigation into a simple visual matching game. You're on the blue dot, you need to get to the red dot, you don't need geographical literacy.
Lowering that cognitive barrier is vital for tourists.
So the route is clear. You know which line to take, you know how many stops. Now we hit the logistical friction of the journey, the fare gates, which brings us to our next key phrases. Where can I buy a ticket?
Yeah.
And can I pay with my credit card?
The required mechanics of the ride.
Right. And the sources break down the vocabulary here. You've got single one-way tickets, return or round-trip tickets, day passes, and monthly passes.
It's a heavily segmented system.
It is. Now, I liken a day pass to an all-you-can-eat buffet for transit. It's a psychological investment in total urban freedom. You don't have to do mental math every time you swipe. But I have to ask, with all the modern tech we have, why do systems still offer so many confusing ticket tiers instead of just charging a flat rate for everyone?
Because pricing is a tool for crowd control. It caters to entirely different user profiles.
So?
Well, the daily commuter needs the economic scale of a monthly pass. It's a subsidy for the local workforce. But the temporary tourist values convenience and is willing to pay a premium. That day pass is priced much higher per ride than a monthly pass.
Ah, so a flat rate would bankrupt the working class commuter, but the city would lose out on the surplus revenue from the tourists.
Exactly. It's a delicate balancing act.
That makes total sense. And once you've figured out the payment, you execute the trip, you get on, you transfer, and finally you use our last key phrase, get off at your destination.
Hopefully without missing your stop.
Right. But this evolution of payment methods asking, can I pay with my credit card, perfectly sets up the most striking division in today's sources. The massive infrastructural differences between Eastern and Western transit networks.
The tale of two systems.
Here's where it gets really interesting. In China, in cities like Beijing and Shanghai, the subways are super modern, incredibly clean, and massive. The sources say stations have so many exits you might walk 10 minutes and realize you're still inside the station.
And the payment is highly digitized.
Yeah.
You just scan a QR code with your phone at the gate.
Meanwhile, Western cities like New York, London, and Paris have older systems that historically rely on physical tap cards, like the Metro card or the Oyster card.
Mobile options are coming, but the physical card is still dominant.
I compare Western transit systems to legacy software. It works, but it's built on old, tangled code. Whereas China's systems are like building a brand new, highly optimized app from scratch.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's all about technical debt. The age of the infrastructure dictates its modernization. London's system opened in 1863.
They were digging with pickaxes.
Right. It is vastly more difficult to retrofit a 150-year-old narrow brick tunnel under a river with seamless digital gates and Wi-Fi than it is to build a modern superstation in Shanghai that was designed from day one around the smartphone era.
They're trying to shoehorn 21st century tech into 19th century architecture.
And they have to do it overnight without disrupting the morning commute.
It really puts it into perspective. The age of the concrete completely dictates how we move a century later. Okay, before we wrap up this deep dive, we want to make sure you, our listener, are fully equipped for your next journey. So we are going to do a quick repeat after me practice with our 6 key phrases.
Oh, great. I'll play the student again, too.
Perfect. Listeners, I will say the phrase, and I want you to take a breath and repeat it out loud right after me. Ready? Phrase 1. Excuse me. Can you help me?
Excuse me. Can you help me?
Good. Phrase 2. Which line should I take?
Which line should I take?
Phrase 3. How many stops is that?
How many stops is that?
Phrase 4. Where can I buy a ticket?
Where can I buy a ticket?
Phrase 5. Can I pay with my credit card?
Can I pay with my credit card?
And finally, phrase 6. Get off at the next station.
Get off at the next station.
Fantastic. So what does this all mean? We've summarized an incredible journey today, from mastering the polite art of saying, "excuse me," to decoding the colorful lines on a map, managing tickets, and understanding the massive infrastructural differences between East and West.
It's a lot more than just getting from point A to point B.
It really is. Next time you tap a card, buy a day pass, or ask for directions, I want you to recognize the massive and invisible social and mechanical web you are participating in. Those 6 key phrases we practiced aren't just words. They are universal keys to unlocking any city in the world.
Absolutely. And it leaves us with a final thought to ponder. Our question of the day.
Ooh, let's hear it.
If our current transit systems are a physical reflection of our societies, some bound by the physical legacy of the past, others defined by the rapid digital integration of the present, what will the subway systems built 50 years from now say about the way we connect with strangers?
Wow. Will we even need to ask strangers for directions anymore?
Exactly. As everything becomes more seamless and automated, do we lose that forced, polite friction of human interaction?
That is a beautiful and slightly haunting question to leave you with. Next time you're hurtling through the dark underground, remember, you are a part of the city's heartbeat. Thanks for taking this ride with us today.